Hello there. Welcome to the SEO Show. I'm Frank Schwarz. You're not, but I appreciate you, and I appreciate you stopping in and watching the show, listening to the jib jab that I call entertainment and news. Interesting stuff going on this week. Some ponderous questions from me to you. And just a couple of things to go over and make some announcements. And then we're going to bust feet out of here. I have an appointment at Home Depot, Lowe's, something like that. And going to see about a backyard and a kitchen. So let's just jump into it. What's been going on in your world? How are your rankings? Have you seen the up and downs of the net, the SERPs, the love of Google, and our ever-going fight to get to number one for ourselves, our clients, and our money? Listen, Google is making the announcements that they're not going to be announcing. People are also quite hung up on the fact that when an update is released, they go, "Well, I wasn't hit on that date, so I'm good." Guys, Google rolls this across the world. Not always, but a lot of the times they roll these things. For some reason, this thing is spiking like crazy. Probably because I have all this stuff going on. Let me refresh over here and see just how choppy I can make my computer. It's best if you shut all this stuff down before you start. I'm getting good speed. Everything's going okay. So let's just keep rolling. This is going to be easier. I'll just shut down all that stuff. Listen, okay. So what I'm basically saying is, if there's an update on the 18th of July, your sites, PBNs, everything else that you work with, your client stuff, may not be affected on the 18th of July. Hell, you might not even be affected for another 2 weeks. Who knows? But I saw a lot of chatter in different forums and groups that with this past little movement and update, that people were like, "Yay, I didn't get hit." And then a couple weeks later, they're like, "Oh my God, why is it happening? Something's going on." And people are like, "Dude, did you get, tapped by that update?" And they're like, "No, that happened last week." It's a rolling update. Google, when they do these updates, they test a few things, but then they, and I'm not speaking for Google. I'm speaking out of what I think would be a logical process that they would follow. They probably test these updates and see if it'll do something. They probably have a whole test bank of servers and do these things, and then slowly roll them out to see if there is a negative impact to the whole of the internet that they control, their search engine, and see if it's hit the good guys when they were just going after the bad guys, quote unquote. So you might not get hit that day. You might not get hit a couple of days later. You may be hit a couple of weeks later. Just realize that, it's going to affect you eventually, and hopefully you're doing your stuff, for lack of a better word, correctly. You're giving Google what Google wants. Let's just keep it at that. But, we saw in our agency, we saw a drop. It's headed back up. things are going back. It did hit us. We were working with increasing our content, making it better. Of course, that's something that's always working on. Updating older stuff to bring it more fresh, more new, talking with clients about that stuff. And it's nothing to go in and add a paragraph or change a couple of sentences or put a fresher link to a more relevant source. Wiki is great, guys, to link to, but you don't always have to link to Wiki. You can link to other sources that are authoritative. They don't have to be the number one source. There's some things here locally. For instance, if we're talking about local news and we have a client that's featured on a news channel, of course we want to link to that news channel. They may not be the best source of information, but they are the best source of that information. We can also link to somebody else's, such as here in Fox. If our client is featured on Fox News here locally, we can also link out to Fox National or CNN or some other news channel that features the same subject and say, you know, this has been featured or a story similar has been featured over here. That builds up some great, you know, citations to other resources that make you look like you're trying to build something strong. We're testing using refreshed PLR. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I can hand somebody an article and they can freshen it up, make it ours, they already have an outline of what is there. You can go and grab a bucket load of these articles and get new content. Go over to these article zines and hit up the writer and see if they're willing to give you a fresh article of what they've already written. They're just going to pull it, change a few things, and give it to you. How unique is it? It's not going to have the link that says featured on ezine.org/whatever. And you won't be linking to this article farm, but you know, I think that would be something that'd be an idea of getting some content that you probably don't even have to pay for. Sorry to everybody who's writers out there in the world. I'm not trying to bust you, but some people are thinking, how do I get other sources of writers and things? And that's what I think that you would do. Am I a little fuzzy today, guys? I'm sorry. Let me clean your eyeball up. Oh, how's that feel? Does that feel good? Oh, there we go. Hi. Now I'm in HD. That's not a good thing. And let's jump over to my favorite subject of late, which is OK Google. Okay, nothing started. I'm going to be careful saying that because I do have a browser with that running because we've been testing that. As I'm seeing around the net, Google yanked an extension called Hot Word, Chrome Hot Word. They yanked it from Chromium, which is the open source Chrome browser. Because of a privacy issue of this Chrome Hot Word listening all the time, and it's supposed to be set to off. You're supposed to go in, agree to the privacy, turn it on, and then it's available. I guess it didn't do that. It was just on, which made Google yank it down. And I understand that you click, you know, I understand it's going to be listening for me to say these words, but I don't think Google and these other people have realized that the common man and woman don't realize that you're listening to everything in order to find those two words. It's not something that they get, and I think they know that you don't get it, so they just throw that in there. Best bet to keep your stuff a little bit more private, even if you log out. Not saying that that works. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. If you have the extension or you have this available on your computer, even if you log out, maybe they can turn you on. Your history of where you've traveled with your Android phone is easily found online. I'll have to get the link and put it below. But it's your history link of your map and everywhere you've gone. And it's not, it uses your GPS, but you don't have to be searching in the maps and getting directions somewhere. It's just on because it's checking in at these waypoints automatically because you're logged into either your Chrome browser or your Google accounts or whatever. It automatically does it. I was amazed. This thing went, all the way in Sedona, Arizona, all the way down south. It knew how many times I had been to my church. It knew how many times I ran up to the store and I had my phone in my pocket. Yes, you can clear it. Yes, you can do a few things, but they already have the information. So it's like giving you the ability to take it back without getting back your information. So privacy, if it's an issue, especially with us in SEO, with having multiple accounts, agencies, things like that, and we wanting to hide and do that stuff, is you might want to check different browsers. You might want to start using different things. A new browser that I love is called Vivaldi, Vivaldi. Go check it out. Right now, I believe it's the fastest browser around. It's quick. I use it. I have it opened up. Now I'll just drop a link in there and have it just to see like page load times, just to see if it visually fits. You got Firefox, got the extensions. Vivaldi doesn't have a bunch of the extensions that we're used to using. I don't think LastPass and stuff. I don't have any extensions in there because I want a super clean. I clear the cookies and the histories every time because I just want to see this fast browser that's responding to what I'm putting out there on different sites and testing and see how it visually looks and responds to what we're doing. So that's Vivaldi. We'll also drop the link there. But it's just funny that now, we've been talking about OK Google for a couple of weeks, and that these other guys are just picking up on the fact that this is even available. Some people are completely shocked. But when you tell it, listen to my conversation. What's Surrey? It's the same thing. Siri, whatever her name is. It's the same concept. We want the convenience, but what are you giving up for that convenience? And us as SEO people, I want to know if you are trying to collect this data. Are you trying to connect in? I've seen some people advertising on apps for WSOs. They're looking at this stuff. They're looking at other avenues to catch their buyers and things. But is there a way to grab this OK Google, Siri, or other voice recognition information and use it for your SEO? Are you looking at Google Stats? Are you looking at the new patents and trademarks and things that are going on with developers that are connected to Hot Word and all these other things? Just something to think about there, pals and gals. Oh God, this coffee is so good today. And on to a different story. I mean, this is just rants, just questions to think about. Let me jump in before we get to the next thing that I want to talk about, which is web builders. Let's jump in here. I told you guys I'd be making an announcement, business wise, off of the SEO show. I have partnered up with Justin Blake, infamously known as the brains and the sales guy and the runaround guy and the feet on the street guy. He was connected with Mad Rank. I'll say it, I ain't scared. And his partnership over at Mad Rank separated, and I was looking for somebody to be feet on the street and going out and finding clients. Justin and I talked, came to a decision that his strengths and my strengths would meet up. Things have been great. I really appreciate him. And we are pulling in all of our businesses to form a really strong impact here in the Phoenix market. I'm really happy. Our clients are happy. We've grown tremendously fast. A little overwhelming at times because it's nothing like going and you're coasting and you're working and all of a sudden you got 10 new people to work with and new clients, and you got to make sure your processes are in order and that your contact, and hey man, that's where Trilio and Skype and all of these Slack and all these communication tools come in, and your apps work and you're available. Make sure you've got processes set, and if you don't, start getting those processes. Great outlines. Do this, and you just check them off as you go. Once you're comfortable with that, then that's when you outsource this stuff and you go, listen, just follow this. So I'm really happy business-wise to be connected with Justin. I really appreciate his hard work, and that flows into Justin is going to be the co-host of the SEO show. We're working out scheduling details because he's up and about super early and going and doing all of his stuff that he does during the day and talking with clients and, being on the phone and everything. So etching out, a specific time for him to stop doing that. And Fridays are tough, especially in sales. He's trying to close things out for the week. So we're working on scheduling. Maybe the time slot for the SEO show is going to change. Thinking about possibly moving it to a PM slot. The only thing is I noticed that, with the PM slots, especially being on the West Coast or very close to the West Coast, is that you guys on the East Coast are watching TV, listening to webinars, which is fine. I just know where we stand. So if you have an opinion, please post it to Facebook, post it on the website, or post it right below this video on YouTube. Share, like, and love. What are your thoughts? What do you know about JC? Are there questions that you want Justin to answer about the sales process or the interaction with clients or networking or different things of that nature? Is there something that could possibly help you in your business that right now is more of a hurdle? Justin comes from an SEO background also. He's doing it, learning it, knows it. Bet you that's Justin. No. It's Mike, the writer, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, anything like that, comment below, maybe even like click the like, love, and share buttons that are around and put in a nice little post about that. Mike Podesta, thank you, buddy. I'm probably horrifically nailing your stuff. Yes, these are self promos, guys. These are my promos. These are my guys. These are my things. So I talk about them. Mike is my writer, not mine. The SEO Show's writer, editor, our wielder of the pin weapons. He does our show notes. He does articles. He's great. People are hiring him. They're giving great reviews about his service. Go find him. Go hire him. You won't be disappointed. Let's build up his content company and get him to retire from corporate America so he can stay home with his beautiful wife and child. So say hi to Mike. Hi, Mike. Now I've got a question for you. This is bugging the absolute crap out of me. And I'm really trying to cut down on the swearing, so don't be all offended that I'm not offending. It's just for today, maybe. I don't know. I have a question for all you developers of WordPress themes, WordPress plugins. The question rolls over to the users of WordPress plugins. People who look at designing the aesthetics and everything that goes into a web page based on page builders. And I'm not slamming anybody. I am honestly asking, what is the impact of a page builder, specifically WordPress page builder, and not one that's named the page builder, but just page builders, a theme that allows this integration, and you're pulling in all these pieces and you're setting these things up, and it's just either it's building a sales page or it's building, an entire website, and you're putting in this cool little widgety thing here and this thing here, and you've got these building blocks. It's like Legos for WordPress. They're cool. Don't get me wrong. They're cool. They make it so much easier for us that don't know coding. And I don't know coding. I have to outsource it. I have to talk to my buddies. I have to talk to clients. I have to ask these questions. Designers and all this other stuff. I'm searching for answers also. But my question is, what is the impact on your SEO with page builders? And the reason being is a lot of these things are built off of short codes. And then inside this block, you're putting text and you're putting an image or whatever. So your code is going to have this thing, and then it's going to have another thing, and then it's going to have maybe your words available. And what is Google seeing with this gobbledygook? Is it in its minute sections of seconds reading this stuff and understanding what you're doing? Or is it looking at it and going, this is so freaking confusing, and not realizing on the other end that it visually is doing something else, because Google is just a code reader. And I'm sure that it understands code, but does it understand all the pieces? And the reason I ask is, if you've got a really cool article started, and then you've got a couple of little of these blocks, and then you've got more of this article, is Google reading the first paragraph, then seeing all of this code in between, and then reading the next paragraph and trying to figure out if your content is consistent and of value? Now, your reader or your visitor sees paragraph, cool pictures, paragraph, and it flows visually for us as humans, but it's not flowing for the Google bots. Does that impact? Now, of course, some of these builders have bad code or excessive code, which doesn't look good and doesn't make your site respond well. It slows down. Now we're talking minuscule, minute, little teeny tiny seconds. Somebody's got something to say. But these things are all happening, and as those little seconds add up, you end up with this big block, which is why I love the Google Insight. And check your speed, and it looks at your code. And I don't know how to use the minifies. That's a whole nother plugin, a W3 plugin, and I have stacks of papers on how to tune that. I don't know how, but I know that I have used minifies that have broke my code and made the page look horrible. So it's smushing the code because it's just changing things to make it better, but it might change something that you need because your theme is dependent on it. So now it's visually screwed, but it's good to read by a computer standard. But if you don't do those things, then it's horrible to read by a computer code Google bot, but it looks super cool and glossy and fresh. Has all those trailing things. It's almost like we're going back to Flash sites, but not using Flash. What do you think? What do you think? Is it bad for SEO? Are WordPress page builders bad for SEO? And let's just see. I don't know. No. As a matter of fact, that's a Twitter tweet from IFTTT, which I am really starting to love, guys. I'm really starting to love, but I digress. News on the page builders that I've been reading is a lot of the page builders, the guys behind the page builders, the coders, are saying that unanimously it shouldn't have an impact on SEO. Shouldn't. If you have case study or evidence or hell, even articles, please post them. Get that information to me. I'd love to read about it. I am very interested in knowing there is an impact. There has to be an impact. Everything impacts everything. That goes back to Aristotle's and stuff like that. To forthwith house shall, now brown cow. So there has to be an impact. How big of an impact, and how many of these little impacts become a big enough impact that you then get screwed by Google because your client wants a really fancy looking, interactive, doing all these things website. I will tell you this. Check out the speed of a sales page that has a background, big picture background, and that's just poof, it's there, and you've got your forms and your this and your phone number, and that's it. Now take that picture out and just have a color. Same page, just the color. The one with just the color is going to be faster. Well, guess what though? Now the cool thing, it's not really new, but I've seen a bit of a little of a rise in its popularity is the video behind. And what some people don't realize is, one, it doesn't work on mobile phones. And I can't say that 100%, but most of the times those videos in the background of your sales page don't show up, and you have to have a fallback, such as a picture or a color. Some people have missed having that fallback, and it just ends up looking all jacked up. Or there's the big, you violated a copyright words across the middle of your sales page, which is always funny. But if that impact of that big, almost full screen video happened to fire up, talk to, whoever it's talking to, YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, and then it fires up and it goes and you've got the music. I've done that. And I know that I lost people because it was too slow for them. Either their computer or their internet sucks. Pony up the extra $10, guys, and get the higher speed. especially if you're on your computer all the time or you have a lot of people on your Wi-Fi network. Spend a couple extra bucks. Yeah. One last order of chicken wings, and you'll be able to pony up that $10 for your internet. But I digress. I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on page builders? And the reason being is, I've been looking at different themes, and they're really great, and they offer a lot of things and a lot of bells and whistles. But what is the impact on your site speed, Google ranking? I will tell you this, that I've noticed that some of these page builders, when you build out the page and then you go into your SEO plugin, either Yoast or the all-in-one, sometimes the blocks of what should be there in your SEO plugin isn't read, isn't put over there automatically because it can't be read in those little widgets and building blocks of your builder. So if the plugin that's on your page that's part of your WordPress installation cannot read the text that's inside of these builders or these building blocks, how likely is it that Google's reading them? When you start adding all of these things into your recipe or your building or whatever, something can fail, but there's sometimes a disconnect. And again, these are questions that I'm asking you, and I would really appreciate your input, your thoughts, your statements below the video on YouTube or on Facebook or on the SEOshow.com. I would love it if you would help me solve my questions. So with that, guys, listen, it has been an amazing 30 minutes of SEO questions, funds, and sun. I'm going to get the hell out of here, but I do want to say, grab a hold of Mike, say hey to Justin, JC Blake over on Facebook. He's going to be on the SEO Show website and YouTube, and share, like, and love us wherever the buttons may be. I appreciate you. I'm Frank Schwarz. This is the SEO Show. We're out, guys. See you when I see you, and if I don't see you, I'm thinking